Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to another watch list and trade review. Running a bit later this evening, but I've gone through the my chat logs. I've gone through my scans and my trades from the day, so I am ready to go through it and get her done. I think I want to start here with the larger caps. We had these big kind of washout gap down days. Fear was in the markets. And you had like Nvidia gapping down huge and now going on this multi-day run. Palantir, good reaction to earnings, and is getting up there, starting to move rather large. So definitely still some attention in the large caps, but all in all, there's a bunch of action, bunch of range, and volume is not slowing down. GRR. This one's probably the closest into my wheelhouse. So you can see over here where you get 1, 2, 3 days overextension. Nice first red day. So it's got a good history of those moves. And now we've gone on 1, 2, 3, 4 days with a little breakout here through the 16s and now pushing up into some prior left looking resistance. So would be looking for a gap up, failed fall through, possible sit back first red day on something like that. Palantir could be in the same boat, but I don't typically like to short names that are running on earnings. Same kind of thing as ACB, where yes, it is an extended name. Yes, it is moved a bit too much too soon, but earnings oftentimes they last a lot longer than expected. They're not as straightforward. They've got like an underlying bid to them. So that's my thoughts on those. BBAI, I was fairly active on this one today. Got pretty much exactly what I was looking for with the gap up, morning shove and blowout, and failed follow through. So I let it do its thing here off the open, push up into the 780s, stuff, hard crack, lower high, joining this failed fall through momentum. So failed fall through, one entry spot, and there I'm risking wide. I wasn't risking high a day just yet. Once we break low a day, that's another entry spot, opening range lows. Now I'm moving risk to low a day with a full risk. And then now we go red and this thing's acting weak. So I put on one more scale and had a bit bigger than full size, than my typical full size off a high a day. And was looking for this one to start to fail red, stay heavy, and that's what we got. So we got all lower highs, all failed follow through, low a day double bottom here, that hard crack right through it. But unfortunately was saved rather quickly. Look left here, maybe the 2 minute. You can see this prior consolidation, prior day VWAP, pre-market lows, and comes right into there at low a day. So once we got that wick through, now I'm interested in covering flushes. So I covered some, started to stay heavy, scaled back in, and it wicked right back. So covered. Started to get back in there. Was about half size or so. So gave back between this cover and this cover, gave back about half the gains from this morning fade. Was just really looking for that red move and red roll, something like this to happen. And it just it didn't. It took a lot more of a patience approach than I would have expected. Something late day, maybe a setup like this where you're starting to scale into this higher low trend fail, if that's something you're into. But I picked up my laptop while I brought my laptop in with me, and I sat down for a little lunch break today and saw this 680s starting to fail, which was the key level I had drawn. So I shorted some, literally right at market close, with the plan to swing it. We got a weak start to the after hours. Contemplated covering some and then rescaling pops, which in hindsight would have worked, but also these could have continued to fizzle. So I stuck to my plan, currently swinging my position overnight. I do think that this has high odds of a gap down, and I'd be looking for a sub 6 rollover. Any pops back into 680s, I like to, as a scale, and look to use tomorrow's highs a day, wherever it stuffs off the open, and scale exact same trade and setup like this. If we can get a stuff off the open, start to scale into opening ranges, failed follow through, and stuff like that. So that was that one. IVVD, higher it gapped, more interested I was in. 1, 2, 3 days of extension. Volume wasn't picking up, so this isn't an A grade setup for me, more of a B trade. So I did size a bit too big on something like this for a B grade setup. So the loss here off the open was a bit bigger than I would have liked. But I let it do its thing, pull back, re-break out, we get hard crack. So I'm looking at lower highs versus VWAP, risk off of highs, breaks through and stuffs right away. So now I'm shorting lower high. Scaling into the lows was a bit anticipatory there. I didn't actually break. I was just, SSR was on, so I was just getting whatever I could. We did get the break, so I cover, re-shorted some, and covered again when it stopped making new lows. So made back some of the gains, but still slightly right on it just because I was a bit oversized for the grade of setup there. Did end up rolling over there late day. I don't think this is one that I really want to trade. Like, I don't really want to force this. I think BBAI is a much better setup, but if you can get this 230 prior high, which became prior support, but all the volume is down here near the lows. So if this were to start to pull back, I think 140 is in the cards. But I need to see it push, exhaust, and fail off of 230s for me to be interested there. And CPIX, this one was all losses. Was green on it down here from my pre-market starters. I hit it right off the open because it looked like it was going to break red, but it didn't. I was forcing what I wanted to see instead of reacting to what was happening. So I definitely botched this one. I don't even think I should have been trading this. I don't know what I was thinking. My comments yesterday on the watch list was BBAI and CPIX if it was red, but I was like, what else do I need to focus on? BBAI is the trade. And for some reason, I forced this a few times, so it didn't even go red. There was no entry point there for me. It was all higher lows off the open. So definitely a waste of money there. Waste of money, waste of time. Lottery, this one started ripping like crazy. T+1, you get that big volume day, breakout there through the 60s. 1 day of consolidation, you can see volume becomes non-existent. And then today just starts picking trend right off the open. Steady highs. You get this 74. Prior day's highs. Pushes right up into it. Few fake outs through the highs. But overall holds VWAP. And then steady trend. Sub VWAP trap. Once it reclaims this prior high, then game on. And you get that right here into that 2 p.m. window, which is that key time of day for breakouts start to come. And then after hours really turned the jets on and went wild. So far gapping up pretty good. Ideally a gap 2+, and can look for a overextension and a fail. This name is trash. There's reasons to be short this, but until price proves, fundamentals don't matter. So ideally, higher the better. It is up from 40 cents to $2, so I do think it's overextended enough. But I just need it. The bigger the gap, more likely I am to look to short it. Same kind of thing as what I mentioned on some other names recently, that borrow costs were getting a bit high on some of these. and it was a bit expensive here on this day. So see where we're at borrow cost wise as well, if it makes sense. Apps, big percent gainer today, just keeping on radar. Quantum, same kind of issue here where volume isn't speeding up. You can see on BBAI, bigger volume, which is what I like to see on multi-day runs. So this one isn't doing it, but I do think it's extended enough to warrant a trade if it sets up. I think I'd need to see it red. Would like to see it start to fail prior day's levels. Fix this. There we go. So the way it's traded in the past has been some halty action, so definitely need to be cautious and a bit quicker with cuts on this. Not something where you want to have a stop at highs and want to see it break and see if it stuffs. It would be one where, I've got a stop level, I'm going to cut through it, whether it stuffs or not. That's my risk, just given how this name trades and the outlier range that it can have. It does trade thin when it wants to. Bit choppier, bit on the choppier side, but it definitely is getting extended here. Up from 3s, up over into the 16, 17. So see how far we get tomorrow. See where it's gapping. That'll kind of gauge where my entry criteria will be on it. For EMA is sitting below $10, so it's definitely got room lower. SGBX, looking left, you can see this big volume day. VWAP right here in the 120s. Which topped right out at it right there in the 120s. So lots of one and dones, lots of overhead resistance. So higher the better for this for me. Up into the 120s, closer we can get there, the better. Could be pre-market. I could see it happening into like 4 a.m., 7 a.m., one of those, and then a quiet fizzle. Or we get like some sort of a flat open around this $1. And then you get one of those steady green candles that kind of squeeze people, the open shorts. But either way, parabolics, not a steady grind, but something that parabolics up into prior resistance. We'll keep an eye there. And then MGOL, the last one here. Super ugly daily chart. Volumes coming in here. It just hit scan. I forgot to look at news, why it's up. SEC approval for business combination registration effective February 4th. Form 4 registration for proposed business combination. Okay, whatever that means. So it doesn't seem super significant. Decent reaction. But another one that's just up massive here in after hours. Closed down here sub 20. And now 10 cents higher. So this is up 50% already after hours. So higher the better. That this gaps. I've got this line drawn here, prior resistance. So anything up here towards 60 cents. But just keeping it on watch because it's a percent gainer. See how high we can get into prior resistance. Obviously, judging by the daily, top left to bottom right. Yes, volume's coming in here, but I doubt that it can reclaim this kind of daily structure. Okay, let's see what we got in the chat here. Stuff and such. Small loss on BBAI. Starter after the morning shove and fail. Low a day break. Added on red. Lowered risk from high to just below red to green. Okay. Wanted to add on fail that never came and stopped out. Seemed like there was no fear, panic from longs when it went red. I think everyone that was price sensitive got out in pre-market. So what I will say is the day in which a red to green risk used to work does not work so well anymore. In the current market environment, what works is clear outs. So like if say you're shorting a pop here into the open using the 750, you're stopping out into 750, but what it needs to do is break through it and then come back and retest it. So because there's such an influx of traders that came in during COVID, there's a lot more volume. The maximum dollar block in which is being traded on given names is much higher. So there's a lot more traders involved. So what used to work when you'd short a name that went 1, 2, 3, 4 days without going red, first time it goes red, you hammer that and risk off a red to green, that would work 75% of the time. That doesn't work so well anymore. What is working is the same setup, but the risk levels change. So like I say here, so everybody's risking 750. That's the horizontal resistance, that's prior day's highs, and that's the high from pre-market, that's VWAP, that's where everything's lining up. So everybody's got to stop at 750. So you let it clear out. Now that's peak liquidity. Everybody has stopped out. It's a lot less crowded. And it doesn't need to. This can easily break through 750, act as support. Everybody's stopped out, but there's still a bunch of buyers. Okay, that's one scenario. What I'm looking for is this daily is already up from 4 to 8, and I don't think it's warranted. So I'm looking for a short trade. I'm not looking to be long on this, so I'm looking for it to confirm that thesis. So let it blow out through these 750s, and now once it starts to fail, now I have a risk-reward trade. Now there's edge on my side. You can see the volume right here, 932, whoosh, breaks through, and then once it starts to fail to follow through, that's when I think edge is there. What didn't happen on CPIX was it didn't go red. This was my mistake. Why? Like I said, I don't know why I was trading this, but it didn't even go red. So there was no reason to trade this. The prior support wasn't resistance. So wait for them to exhaust. Nate always says let others pay for the information, and then pick up the pieces afterwards. So I hope that makes sense. I like your high a day risk, even on a red to green entry or green to red entry. I think that makes sense because for EMA sitting sub 6, I think there was still plenty of meat on the bone for a 2-3 to 1 trade, even with that risk reward there. So nice job on the entries. I just think choosing the correct risk might have kept you in the trade a bit longer. It wasn't fruitful. Like it didn't really amount to much. If I was on desk all day and wasn't forced to cover by 11 a.m., I still wouldn't have been in this until here. Maybe I short that higher low trend fail right in here as it's going red again and failing those lows, but who knows? I wasn't here to do it. That's just kind of hindsight thinking, but that is a possible setup that I do see. Thanks for the live watch list. No problem. I was thinking lipo was going to squeeze. Didn't happen. Yeah, lipo. So many bag holders. That thing smoked. Crazy. Yeah, these gappers just continue to fail. It's insane. That quantum 13 entry was tight. Waiting for backside bounce instead on some of these low float expensive borrows. Yeah, I don't hate that idea. Stuff that's holding, if IVVD could fade back to the 140s, even if I were to miss a short trade, I'd like that for a backside bounce. BBAI, if this could fade back to 5, I'd like that for a backside bounce. So, I don't hate that idea. Traders get stopped out. One reason is not knowing the range of key levels. BBI A plus setup for you. In my opinion, it wasn't. It didn't gap enough for me. I avoided and just shorted LiPo 7s to 5s. I don't like when the consolidation is right under it. I want to stretch more and have air under it. I wouldn't give BBI an A plus. A plus would be like 10 plus. But I would give it an A grade trade, given that this is a higher market cap. It doesn't have sector strength with it. It's moving on its own, and it is up from sub 4 up to 8. So it's a 100% move on the daily. Volume speeding up, candle range expansion, hasn't gone red today. First time red in 3 days, 4 days. So I don't think that there's a whole lot of support below it. I think off the open, where you're pulling from 780 to 680, if this wanted to consolidate and hold red for 15, 20, 30 minutes, and then re-break this 680s low a day after failing off of red, I don't think that there is a whole lot of support below it. 680 just needed to prove, and it didn't until later in the day. But if it did, hindsight right now, it didn't. But there was a full-on possibility that 680s was going to fail this morning, and if it did, there's room all the way back down to the mid to low 5s. So I think that there was enough boxes checked that it was an A grade for me, but I wouldn't give it A plus, where like I'm going like 3-5x risk. I traded Rebin for a single. Yeah, that one squeezed and got stuffed so hard today. That was wild. 620 sells, nice. I think, what was our line there? 550s? Yeah, that 550 line there. Peaked out, rebroke. Buy the 550s, risk on 515, 520. Get a 70 cents or so. You can see volume start to come in. But like this, with the support crack and halt down, like that's just gnarly. So I didn't touch it today. Thankfully, that thing got ugly. Oh, pre-market, 510, nice. Do you use missed monthly pivots as a reference? No, I don't know what that is, so I do not. What are your thoughts on Palantir? I had touched on Palantir at the beginning of the stream. I don't think this is comparable to like the master trades and the NVIDIA trades when you get like those parabolic dailies. I do see like people like Nate and Phil and some of those guys looking for overextension trades on this, like mean reverts. But this is up on earnings. It's now put in a higher base. So I don't really see this as being super extended. And I typically find shorting names that are up on earnings, I find that they have a bit of an underlying bid as they go higher. Same kind of thing with ACB, where this one was extended, big move on its first day. And you get that gap down, reclaim, even on this failed follow through right here. You get that sub VWAP and then still reclaims. It's just sometimes these earnings winners, they've just got such an underlying bid that I find that I just tend to avoid them. So I'm going to keep it on watch just to watch and learn. I'll follow along with the commentary in IU as Nate trades it tomorrow. But I doubt it's something I trade. Don't see the A plus that Nate's saying. Yeah. What's your usual stream start time? I think it's probably like, what would you guys say? Like 10:30 Eastern? Maybe? Today was 11 Eastern. I'm not sure. I'm usually out fairly late with work. I work pretty long days. So it's just kind of whenever I can get back home, make some dinner before settling in. Sometimes I hop on here before eating dinner, just depending how late my night gets, but I'd say usually around 10:30 Eastern. Better off with soon, bigger growth than Palantir. Okay. Yeah, it's nothing comparable to those. Yeah, SMCI, Master, Tiger, AVGO, that's right. I agree. Those large caps, I have no problem trading. When you get those overextension big caps, those are really nice. But I don't see it in Palantir, which is fine. You don't have to trade it. Warren Buffett, he always says the beauty of investing or stock trading is there's no called strikes. You can stand there and watch the pitches come by, pitch after pitch, day after day, and there are no strikeouts. You can wait for that perfect fastball down the middle, beach ball comes floating in before you want to swing. So your new friend that doesn't trade patterns, just randomly trades momentum, is in Palantir from 20s. I'm happy, but trading is wild. Sometimes better to be lucky than work hard. That's funny. Congrats to that friend of yours. It's definitely not better to get lucky. He'll give it back. It's the same people that bought GME. Not that time. 2021. Same people that bought GME and held through here. It's the same mentality that gets you to hold GME through this day, and then hold through that day, and then hold through a pullback, and then hold through a failed breakout, and then hold, and then you get a massive range expansion, and you're holding through that day, and then you're holding through that day, and then you're holding through that day, and then you're like, it's the same. Like, you can see going bar by bar there. Look at this. Like, in what world does this breakout and then going 10 to now, split adjusted, but 10 to 40, it goes 4x with massive overhead resistance now, huge fails, reclaims trend, and then a massive triple, 200% gap on a $40 name. And then again, rips to 120. So the same people that are holding through this, that are getting these massive gains, the same mentality that got them to hold through this is getting them to hold all the way back down here. So yeah, Palantir, your friend is holding from 20 up to 110. But if this were to retrace slowly from 110 back down to 20, the same thing that got him to hold from 20 to here is the same thing that's going to get him to hold from there to there. And not saying this one fails, this one could just keep going up for, the next few decades, and he's in a great position. But any other position that now he's looking for a 6x trade, he's going to do the same thing and look for the same thing to happen. And it's not process driven. So yes, he made profits, but if there's no process to back it up, it'll be given back in no time. Friday 0 DTE tomorrow could help. It could. That's probably part of their thesis, calling it A+, that it's running into Friday. But I don't have a setup for it. I'd need it. If it went from 80 without earnings and went 80 to 90, 90 to 100, 100 to 110, and then gaps up to 120 tomorrow, now I have a setup for it. But the fact that most of this range just came from an earnings gap, I think I'd rather avoid it. I thought it was wild. He's up in the 70s. Yep. Did you trade JKS? Yep. Yeah, I did. I didn't. I wasn't. I didn't. I think I tried it maybe twice. But yeah, it was a tough one. Like, it was like stuff like this where you get these capitulation days, and I tried it here. First daily red candle, took a loss, and I think I might have tried it here we're thinking it might have squeezed everyone else out, but I definitely didn't catch it up there. Chinko Solar. Look at that. Right back down to where it came from. Hub C volume is still maintaining, still holding that position. See what's up. But anyways, I will wrap it up there. Thank you guys for stopping by. Trade 'em well tomorrow, and I'll see you guys on Sunday for the Monday prep. Peace.